Greetings, one and all, and welcome back to Terratech with me, Lathrix, and of course, welcome to a brand new update video, which today is gonna be a little bit different. Now, most of our update videos, we talk about new blocks, new items, and of course, just new features to the game, like the new UI, but today, it's all about DLC, and that is a very, very rare thing in Terratech. Up until this point, there have only been two sets of paid-for DLC, the first of which is the R&D mode itself, which we are currently in, the test mode, and of course, the soundtrack. You can buy both of these on Steam. I'm not so sure about console because, well, I don't play Terratech on console. Over here, though, we now have two new sets of DLC, both of which are skin packs, which I find really, really interesting. And honestly, if you're gonna do paid for DLC, this is the type of thing I personally want to see. Now, I'm not going to say if this is value for money or not, because of course I am going to be heavily biased. I cover these things literally as my job, so I can't possibly say if they are worthwhile. Now, both of them, though, are £3 each, or your regional equivalent, and they are currently on Steam. Once again, not too sure about console. As a very quick note though, I am not being sponsored for this video, obviously. I am just checking out the updates, because I'm always going to check out the updates. Just realised how that last clip sounded. Also, I'm recording this 3 hours later. Now back to the past. On top of these new DLC packs, though, there have been some changes made to the R&D mode itself, so once again, a bit of DLC change, and these changes I absolutely love. We now finally have a way of weighing our techs and testing out DPS, and we even have a speed checker mode, and I'll get into that after we cover the new skins themselves. One more cut on the intro, because I just completely forgot the names of the packs themselves. So, we have the To The Stars pack, which is the GSO and Better Future skins, and then we have the Weapons of War pack, which is Venture and Hawkeye. Now, in addition to actually having a brand new skin, which, if I go over here, we can see is the different colour schemes, it also comes with a few remodels of some of the items, so it isn't just a reskin, there are some new models making their way as well. So what I'm going to do is quickly showcase all the new models from all the different corporations, and then we're going to showcase some of my techs in the brand new skins. After that, we can take a look at all the new systems in the R&D mode itself. Okay, no more cuts from now on in this section. So, first of all, we have GSO. Now, GSO is taking on a much more sleek appearance, which honestly is somewhat similar to Better Future. And it's all sky-based, it's got a lot more curves, as you can see here. We have the regular 2.5 block here, and then the new version. And the new version is all nice and curved, and it has the new black and white colour scheme, which is the main colour scheme of GSO now, at least if you add this. Same with this over here, we have a regular block and then the inside corner block, and it's much more slopey, it's not got the hard edges. The armor itself has turned a kind of gold color, which I found really interesting, and that I really, really like. We have another curved block there, these were just me testing out things, ignore the weapons, and then we have some new fins, new thrusters, and that is that. So there are all the new models for GSO. Next up, we have Venture, and sadly the no-cut rule was broken by me sneezing like 5 times. So to begin with, we have the new Venture Crossfire Rifle. We have what is my favourite reskin over here, because that just looks absolutely phenomenal. And then we have a lot of wing changes. If the name will actually pop up, that would be lovely. There we go, the Venture wing expanders have been changed, which are now a lot more straightforward. Honestly, this is by far my favourite of the 4 reskins. I think the Venture stuff looks really good, especially when you build a whole tech out of them. It's hard to tell with the new models, but of course I'll be showing that in a second. The tail wing has been changed, so is the middle wing. I love this change. It's really simple, but it looks fantastic. And then we have the main blocks themselves. Essentially, the blue has become part of the new grey look. So it's a lot more, well, it's just less colourful, but I really, really like it. And you can make some really retro-looking stuff, which I really, really like. Next up, we have Better Future, going for an alien style now. Sadly, only the medium hover rings, the corner rings, have this new effect, but I like that a lot. It looks really alien, and of course the rings themselves move just like any other hover, as you can see. Although it's hard to see when this thing is static, but that looks really nice. The whole thing moves, which I think just looks quite good. The thrusters are a little bit bland, but they do camouflage really well with everything else. If you want to hide them, you certainly can. Then we have the smaller thrusters. We have one of the most bizarre-looking alien weapons ever, which I am on the fence about. I think it's really weird, but it could probably work in certain circumstances. The disc laser has been changed, but only the smaller disc laser. And then we have this. The fin looks terrifying, and I absolutely love it. If only that was a skull. And finally, we have the new Hawkeye autocannon, which I think looks really, really nice. They're going for a far more army-style thing here with lots and lots of camo, which I'm kind of on the fence about. I love the new models. I just think the colour itself is a little bit weird when you have too much of it, but I think it will look fantastic if you mix it with the original colour scheme. I just don't think it's particularly good if you have just loads and loads of this. Although, it does look very camo-y, so they're certainly going for what they aimed for. I'm just not a big fan of camo schemes in general, to be perfectly honest. I love this new turret, though. I was never a big fan of the old one, the new model. Love it to bits. We have the new armor here to replace those, and once again, some more new armor, including some of the smaller armor on the top. So those are all the new models, but of course, the skin itself is the main thing. So, I'll just spawn in some techs, and we can have a quick comparison. Now this first one is a perfect example of you need to build with the new skin in mind, because this one doesn't work out too well. I'll showcase another one in a moment. Yeah, that doesn't quite work. It looks interesting, but it looks even more of a jumbled mess than it was before. Here we are, one of my favourite techs from a previous season, which I never really got to use all that much. Okay, so then, let's see how this looks when we add the new skin. If I can press the right button. There we go. As you can see, I personally am not a fan when you go completely into the new skin. I think it works really well with the weapons. I love new weapons, but I think everything blends too well with each other and you lose a lot of the distinction. But I guess that is kind of the point of camo, to be perfectly honest. So, again, it's more of an issue with me just not personally liking that kind of style. I wonder what would happen if I did this. Ooh. Okay, so the GSO stuff goes really well with Hawkeye. Let's turn that back to the regular Hawkeye for a second, shall we? A little bit bright, but yeah, that blends really well now. In comparison to that. Huh. Like I said, I will need to try and make some of these in the future with all this in mind. I'll definitely make one tech for at least each of the new skins. Now, Better Future, similar to the camo one, I think will work really well when mixed with the original, because this is just really good for blending, and I love the corners. It's so metallic, which is something we don't really have all that much of in Terratech. Everything's very vibrantly painted. This just looks like metal. I really do like that. You know what? I've changed my mind about this. Originally, I wasn't a massive fan of it, but I love the metal look. Okay, I've changed my mind. Better Future is really nice. Now, let's see if we have a GSO tech. I don't know if I have one, which is almost pure GSO, but I can have a look-see. Change of plan. Before we move on, let's have a look-see what happens when I change the hover bike. This is something I use a lot of. I really like that. Very simple looking. I'm not 100% sold on the thrusters, but they do blend in really well. Sorry, the ion drives, not the thrusters. There's the thrusters. Okay, back to looking for what I was actually looking for. Well, there we are. There's Venture's new colours, and as you can see, we have all the different new wings. I couldn't find a good example of a Venture tech I have, which really highlights the new skin, so I do apologise for that. Like I said, I will be making a brand new version of each somewhat soon. Also, it's just an excuse to use this tech, which I never get to use anymore. Very bright. But I do really like it. There's something about it. I can see the potential of this thing. I remember this thing. This is gonna look really weird, I think. Oh my god, that is painful to the eyes. Oh, that is shockingly bright. Well, if you want a very clean look, I mean, that works. Definitely wouldn't have placed these blocks as I have here, though. It looks like a weird cross between Aperture Science and a mime. That's a horrible combination. Yep, going with the pure look I don't think really works with the GSO one, if it's been built with the other skins in mind especially, because it is a little bit extreme. Though it works better on this one, I feel. But in combination with Better Future, I really do think this is going to be really nice, and GSO and Better Future are lumped in together with the same DLC, and I can see why. I think this bright white and the contrast of this skin with the metal version of Better Future would look fantastic. Or just regular Better Future, it all just blends in really well now, especially with all the slopes in the corners. The slopes replacing the corners. I can use my words. Okay, so that's it though. I will be building new text, as I've said a million times now already, so I would like to know in the comments, which is your new favourite of the new 4 skins? Hawkeye? Better Future, Venture, or GSO? I am really curious, so everyone, tell me! And now, we can go and test out all the new things we can mess around with in the R&D mode. Which is actually what I'm honestly more excited for. Love new skins, fantastic new addition, hope they keep on making more because I just love stuff like this. But, let me shoot things and see how much damage I do. Thank you. Whee! So glad that worked. Last time I did that, the game crashed because of my recording software. So first of all, we have the DPS target. Let's get into something a little bit simpler. Okay, after a few shots. And there we are. We're averaging about 68,000 DPS. Oh, no, it's gone up. I wonder if the average will stable out a bit more the longer I keep on attacking. Maybe. But maybe not. Either way though, love seeing that, even if it seems to be a bit all over the place at the moment, just giving me a roundabout number is great. I think the main use for this, honestly, other than just bragging rights when you build a really powerful tech, is just which gun is stronger than which. For instance, the Venture Crossfire Rifle. How much stronger is that versus just a regular Hail Rifle? Somewhere between 1,000 and 1,300. Okay, then we swap, and we add this instead. So clearly, the first is definitely stronger. Okay, so the DPS seems to be a bit more accurate when you have a weapon which hits it a lot more frequently, which certainly makes sense. Of course, as soon as I say that, it starts going all over the place again, but still, that's fine by me. This will definitely influence my decision-making in the future when I want to decide on what weapons I want to use. For instance, I expected that to be a lot higher. Two Flamers, only 900. That is, yeah, way lower than I expected. Now, of course, the DPS from the little cab is also being taken into account. The one thing I'm curious about, though, is the accuracy of very slow-firing weapons, especially when you're only using one of them like this. Since it takes so long to fire, the screen actually turns off, so I don't think it's really dividing by how long it takes each shot to hit. It's just going more off the initial shot. I'm also curious as to which weapon is the strongest in the game in terms of raw DPS. Wow, that is a lot higher than I expected. Autocannons are pretty darn deadly. Just no area of effect. That's their only real weakness. Explosives are normally very good in this game. Wait, will this even fire correctly? Yes, it will. That's lower than I expected, but once again, the explosive radius of the missiles is insane. Okay, we can be here all day testing things out. Next up, we have the weighing area, which I think is actually really useful. So, one thing I would like to see is a comparison of all the regular blocks. Let's try and sit somewhere where we're not influencing this, please. Fine. There's one. There's two. That's the smallest we have from GSO, so we have to do a bit of math with that, which is horrible in every way. Although, to be fair, it is only just divide by 8. But still, it's math! So first up then, we have the regular GSO block, which I assume is going to weigh exactly 1. Yes, it is. I was wondering why my camera kept on messing up. I was still locked onto the target. Okay, there we go. Now I can actually control my camera. This is going to be a lot easier. Next up we have Venture. 0.75, so a full quarter lighter. Then we have the Hawkeye, 1 block. 50% heavier. And then we have Better Future, which is very slightly lighter. Finally, Geocorp, and of course this is the size of 8 regular blocks, so that would be the exact same as GSO per single block size. Okay, so that's really interesting. I thought that the Hawkeye stuff was actually heavier than that, and I thought Venture may have been a little bit lighter, so I am illuminated. How about the brackets? I use this all over the place. Brackets are almost nothing. Note to self, always use brackets. Then we have the batteries as well. Again, we could be here all day checking things out. I will stop in just a moment. 1/3 of the weight. Okay, so Venture batteries are incredibly light. Batteries will be the last thing I do, I promise. I'm just really interested in this. So, once again, those twice the size, so it's actually only slightly heavier. Yeah, so it's 4 per single block. I expected that to be heavier. Okay. Oh, nope. Okay, there we go. For a second then, everything was going wrong. Okay, so for a second there, I thought that the battery was bigger than it was. So once again, same as the regular block. Yeah, okay, so they're the same weight again. So it seems like Geocorp and GSO share a lot of the same weights. Finally, the Better Future battery. 5.40, so you are actually lighter than GSO. Once again, by only a small amount. So finally then, we have our little speed test. Maybe I should get in something a bit faster. So in my opinion, this is the least useful of the new 3 things. So essentially what this is a speed trap. Whatever speed you're going when you go through that red laser will then show up on those 2 screens. It's interesting because it's a very easy way to see how fast you're going at, let's say, a test of using thrusters or something like that, and you don't want to try and keep track of the speed at the bottom of the screen. But the speed at the bottom of the screen is always there, so this is a bit less useful than the others 2, but I can see it being useful in some circumstances. This is a pretty slow tech, but to be fair, it can fly. One last thing to mention before we go, though, is we now have this. We have the ability to spawn in different biomes, so we can test out our techs without leaving the R&D mode. I actually really like this, since a lot of the time it's difficult to test how your tech's going to do until you go into a different mode. This way, we can just stay here forever and live here with unlimited items and unlimited money. A nice little change to the now named R&D labs. Let's go something a bit more extreme. Yeah, pretty much everything. What is the alien pillars? Oh, I know what the alien pillars are. It's the pillar biome. I simply call it the pillar biome. Yeah, there it is. Lovely. One last thing I completely forgot to mention at the beginning of the video is that the skins do have their own name. For GSO, we have Space Race. For Better Future, we have Roswell. For Hawkeye, we have the Iron Hunter. And for Venture, we have Warbird. And I think Venture will look amazing with certain planes, just not the ones I've already built. So I'm definitely building a plane for my Venture skin design, because I just kind of have to. A UFO for Better Future I think would fit, and then I'm not too sure with GSO and Hawkeye. Again, tell me in the comments, which is your favourite of the new skins? But with that, thank you so much for watching. If you have enjoyed today's video, then of course, likes, favourite, shares, comments, all that good stuff helps out me, helps out the channel, and most importantly, shows that Terratech is a series you wish to see continued in the future. Thank you so much for watching, and goodbye. In the next video, we actually build something.